Winter is finally starting to clear and much more enjoyable spring conditions are on their way. I wasted no time in waking at the crack of dawn and heading out for a day's fishing. The excitement was doubled with it being my first session in nearly 2 months, thanks to having open heart surgery in early January. This is quite an exciting one. It's my first fishing trip in 7 weeks since having open heart surgery in early January, so I haven't been out in a long time, or what feels like a long time. I'm itching to go out. I'm so excited. Beyond excited, to be honest. Whilst I believe fishing is a hobby that should be open to all, it's no secret that most anglers are stereotypically men in their later years. My YouTube demographics certainly back this up. Hence why I've decided to share my story and include my return to fishing post open heart surgery. I met and became friends with a number of passionate anglers who are also going through surgery whilst in hospital, and with an event like this having such a big impact on your ability to take part in something which gives us so much joy, I thought it might offer a sense of reassurance to any other men or women going through something similar. But for now, let's head out in search of some fish. So we're in for an absolutely fantastic day on the water, it looks like. It's cold, but should be pretty calm out there and absolutely gorgeous. Amazing conditions. Although there wasn't a breath of wind at sea, once a couple miles offshore there were some huge swells coming in from what looked like unsettled conditions off the north of France. We also spotted a nasty looking southwesterly squall coming in, which was not forecast. The camera doesn't really do it justice, but these swells were towering over the boat at times, and just didn't make the most comfortable of fishing conditions. With this, we decided not to push it and head back to land. Not to be foiled, I headed back home, grabbed the beach rods and made a plan B.
Ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Which beach do you want to go to?
Just thinking,
Sandbanks is always good, but what's the tide doing going out?
it'll be going out. I think Southbourne. And that's just what I did. After a quick trip to tidy up Nacho's mooring, as she'll be back in the water soon, and a refuel trip to Morrison's, I headed to Southbourne Beach. Always worth checking the fish aisle at your local supermarket for some fresh bait. That'll do nicely. Oh wow, what a debacle. So we've been down on the beach now for probably a couple hours. Took a little while to set up and get our rods in and everything kind of settled and sorted. You know, we're going to be here for quite a big session, so I want to kind of make base camp nice. And it's only now, I think it's gone up to 6 o'clock, so we're starting to hit dusk. The tide's starting to, we've gone to the bottom of the flood, tide's starting to come in, so the fishing should pick up. But I've already caught something. I've actually caught the biggest thing I think I've ever caught, which unfortunately was a dog. Now, I don't want to get into the politics of beach fishing and dogs and stuff, because I know some people feel very strongly about it, others, feel differently. For me, it's everyone's beach. I think it's everyone's responsibility to try and avoid accidents like that. It wasn't nice. Dog's all right. It was just caught in the tongue. It ran off with my hook and bait. But yeah. And I've also had another dog eat all of my bait. Came up, found the mackerel, ran off with the whole lot, had a free dinner out of me. So not the best start. I have had one big bite, but unfortunately I lost that fish on reeling it back in on the surf. But we're all set up now. Rods are in, and yeah, we're here for the evening. So fingers crossed it picks up and gets better. Baiting up again. Oh, that one came off. My mum just had another bite as well. And obviously, as you can probably see, let me take this off. We're into night time now, pretty much. So, fingers crossed, fishing picks up, which it normally doesn't know. See, it normally bugs me when people say, "Oh, it's great to be out." Like, you know, I'm not catching fish, but it's still good to be out. Normally, I don't like that. Normally, like, no, I want to catch fish. But after 7 weeks of no fishing and barely being outdoors, I'm happy just to be out. Be by the sea and the beach. It's the good life. One thing I'm thankful for in the darkness, if the fishing doesn't improve, the dogs have gone. I don't want to catch any more of them today. Look at that moon tonight. That moon is unbelievable. That isn't a lamppost floating in the sky there, that is a full moon. Gorgeous. You never guess what I just reeled in? Dog poo bag. Right, the dog joke is getting a bit too much now. I just reeled in a bit of a dog poo bag. All I need now is a dog fish. Even with heavy grip leads and rod tips kept high, the surf at Southbourne was tough going. Rigs were getting tangled and bite detection was proving impossible. So, with the fishing non-existent, and the angler next to us rightly calling the conditions at Southbourne like a washing machine that night, I decided to pack up and try Plan C, the sheltered conditions of inner sandbanks. Right, packed up. Third spot, let's go. The flat sands of Sandbanks offers simple, easy fishing with schoolie bass and flatfish often up for grabs. In no time, my lines were wet again, and I was hopeful after watching ragworm, the favoured snack of said fish, swimming around just below me. We've gone with the last tactic, still no fish. We've gone with the tactic of eat some food and you'll get a bite. I'm hoping the moment that we start chewing, these rods go on. Let's see what happens. I fished late into the night with not even a bite. After 18 hours of fishing on my first day back, it was pretty frustrating to have nothing to show for it. However, this fueled my determination to get back on the scoreboard, and so just a few days later, I was back with a new strategy. Right, baits acquired. Picked up some cracking lugworm off the beach. If anyone hasn't tried bait digging before and wants to give it a go, I definitely recommend going down on the spring tide. Being able to get up higher on the shoreline and dig the areas that don't get touched much, and you seem to get a better sample worm and just more often per shovel. So that's about an hour's worth. Let's head over to the beach side and try and redeem myself, catch a fish. Conditions look much better tonight. Let's go. Right, so keep it nice and simple tonight. I'm going with a 3-hook flapper on one rod and just a 2-hook flapper on the other. No need to cast too far here, I don't think, for tonight. I have got a pulley pennel rig with a 3-0 hook on that I might try a bit later, just for maybe a big bass. There's some good bass being caught in the last few weeks, so might try for one of them. But I really want to target flatfish. That's what I really want. So keep it nice and simple. That's what we're going for. Right, we've got one rod out. Conditions are awful, a lot better than the last time. But nice calm seas. Everyone's cleared off the beach. There's no dogs running around now or anything else like we had the other day. Got a mixture of lug and rag in the water, and I'm hopeful. I'm getting bites already. I don't know if you can see the white rods there. That's been in the water for 60 seconds. Right, I thought I had something on the line, as it was jitting and about, and unfortunately, it's a big bit of seaweed. Hopefully, we haven't got to put up with this all night, but we'll see. First cast anyway. Sometimes with fishing, I'm sat there waiting, thinking, should I tighten the line? Are my baits right? Has the lead unclung itself from the bottom, rolling around? Actually, that's not too bad of a thing with flat fishing, but flat fishing. But sometimes you just have to trust the process. Sit there, let your baits do the thing, let your rods do their work, and see what happens. So, first result of the night, slightly unexpected. It's not a fish, but it is something edible. Just cracking scallop. Literally picked it up off the shoreline. I'm guessing all these spring tides and big swells that we've been having the last few days has brought it up. And yeah, it was just at my feet as I was casting, so that'll be coming home with me. Delicious. It's taken multiple days, multiple baits. We finally have a fish. Can you guess what it's going to be? A whiting. But it's not a blank. It means we have caught. This is my first fish post-surgery. So yeah, even though it's a tiny little whiting, probably one of the smallest I've ever caught, it's a fish. And I'm glad to be back fishing. Super glad to be back catching. And yeah. Get in. It's not a blank. Let's get this guy back. Now, I don't know if the camera would have picked it up. No, you wouldn't have. But as I was putting that guy back, we're getting some big bites. Big nodding bites on the other rod. Here we go, guys. Could be the floodgates. Fingers crossed. You could say we're seeing double. Second fish of the session. And I've now actually christened my new Penn tidal rod that I've picked up and I've been using for the first time in these sessions. Another little whiting. Literally carbon copy of the one before, but it's another fish. Okay, let's go back. It could be a good live bait, but I want flatties, really, which a flatty wouldn't do that. Unless we're in Norway fishing for halibut or something, but we're not. Although I'd finally landed a fish, a couple small whiting hadn't really scratched the itch. With the surgery keeping my rods dry for some time, plus with the storms we had in December, it had felt like months since I had a really good session. So, at the next opportunity, later that week, I grabbed some more bait and headed back down to Southbourne for round 2. This time, Southbourne greeted me with some stunning conditions. There was a strong but manageable chop in the water, temperatures were pleasant, and it seemed bob on for some fish. So, I set up camp right in front of some handy loos and got to it. baits have been chewed and nibbled. Just baiting up. For anything like me, you don't want to waste bait. I mean, no one does. I dig my own bait, typically my own rag and lug, so a lot of energy. Don't want to waste any of the bait that I do pick up. And I often end up, as most people probably do, with a lot of little like offcuts of rag, I guess, and just bits of worm, or maybe smaller ones that won't really take the hook as well. What I typically do, especially if I've had some worm kind of in and out the freezer and they've started to go a bit mushy, and you can freeze both rag and lug, but after a few turns around the freezer, it's not the best. As not to waste it, what I typically do is I take some of my lug, put on the baiting needle. There's probably a lot of you out there that do this anyway, but for those that haven't tried it or don't want to waste this bait, I just line it up on the needle, get 2 or 3 of these smaller ones, get my bait elastic. I mean, this stuff is quite mushy. It's quite, it wouldn't take a hook on its own by any means. And then just whip it on to a lug bait. And then what we're left with is a cracking little worm bait full of juice, lug, rag, that we can put on a hook and use. And these don't come off the hook very easy. You can use the baiting needle to thread it on. You'll feel just how stiff it is as it goes on, really. And yeah, ideal. Whilst I've got both rods out there doing their thing, I'm going to make up a whole string of these on this needle. I could probably have 2 or 3, well 3. So the next time some hooks come out, I need to redo the rigs. On they go. Okay, so as the lights faded, and as expected, the fishing has turned on somewhat. We've got a load of whiting. 1, 2. This one's very lively, I can't get him picked up. There you go. 3 whiting in 2 casts. 2 on one rod and 1 on the other. So if these are here, there's a hope that some of the predatory fish are coming in as well. So I'm actually going to leave out one of the kind of little scratching rigs and switch out to polyphenol for some of my squid baits, and we'll see what happens. But save the blank. In fact, I think 2 of these might be the other ones that we saw from Sandbanks the other day. Just here to wind me up again, but not a blank, we've got fish. Let's get this guy back. These 2 are quite deeply hooked, so this one might go back. I'm just letting them, so I think this one's a goner, but we'll see if he kind of comes back to life. And if so, I'll put him back. This one definitely wants to go back. Let's get him there. Off he goes. Right, this is what we're going with tonight. It's a Cox and Rule polyphenol rig with a 3/0 hook. Sticking on the squid and lug wraps. Check them out as far as I can, which at the moment is not far, but with Southbourne you don't need to get that out that far. And yeah, wish us luck, we'll see what happens. So this other one here, this whiting, he is coming back around and swimming quite nicely, so I think he'll get released and the other one will be kept for bait. But always I always encourage kind of good fish handling, care for them in a sense of put them back, treat them well, unless you're keeping them for bait. If you are going to keep them for bait or table, then dispatch them ASAP and bleed them, store them, do what you need to do. But no matter what the size of the fish, big or small, treat it with respect, and if we can put them back, put them back. There's no harm doing, even whiting, even annoying whiting. Looks like we've got something on the whiting rod. Check it out. there we go. Another species for the day. A little dogfish. Probably one of the smallest I've ever caught. That was on a little bit of sand eel. Just lip hooked. It's lovely. I seem to have a thing about whenever I typically catch a dogfish, they always take my hooks quite deep, which has always been annoying because they've got such rough skin. But there we go. Chuffed with that. One of my goals kind of over the next few months is really to put some more time and effort into shore fishing. You know, when it comes to the boat, I'm fairly comfortable and confident in what to fish and what conditions and how to, you know, where to drift, what gear to use, what rigs to use, how to work the tides from a boat. Just through doing lots of research and trial and error. But I'm kind of at the start of that journey again, it feels, from the beach, which is really, really exciting. It's a really nice and good challenge to have. You know, what type of gear, how to have your rods set up, your rig set up for the different types of surf, for the different types of tides. You know, it's very much the same as the boat, but at the same time completely different. And these last few trips, these 3 trips actually have taught me so many lessons, whilst having great fun doing it. Just hopefully now, all these lessons we can put into practice and pick out a trophy fish. Another whiting for the tally. I think that's 4 whiting. Do you know what? I was doing a lot of research for Southbourne before I, kind of in my downtime. Well, did I mention I had surgery? Probably haven't mentioned it about 6 times already in this video. But I was watching one of Mr. Bagnall's videos of Christchurch Hanging Centre, who obviously knows this spot and this and just fishing in general like pretty well. Watched a lot of his videos to try and just get some knowledge and know-how about how to fish not just this mark but sandbanks and loads of areas. And it's really, really good. One thing that stuck with me, which is a bit of a mindset piece, is that I think this really applies for winter fishing, when you do get a lot of whiting and dogfish and just pouting, your typical winter species that a lot of people get really fed up with. But I did come tonight, I was like, alright, I'll do what you said actually. I'll change my mindset and think, yeah, let's try and catch fish. So I'm really still obviously hoping for a big ray, but I'm having good fun catching these. And it's a bit different on the boat. Normally I get fed up with catching these, but yeah, just difference in mindset. Just have fun catching fish. Okay, another whiting for the night. I've lost count now. I think that's probably 6 we're on. Surprise, surprise. Caught again. Can you guess what it is? Another whiting. Okay, decided I've had my fun with the whiting. I've packed away both my flapper rigs. I've set up both rods now on pulley pennels with squid and lug combos. We're going all out now for ray, bass, whatever. I've had my fun. If I don't catch any more fish now, then I've still had a good night. I've still had fun. But yeah, we're going for the big one now. Did you give him something?
Yeah. He's having a mackerel. He's had some flapjack. He's eating that mackerel bait, which is at the freeze. I'll use part of it. He's had
Let's see if he wants one of these whiting. You can smell it. Right on it. There it is. Nice fox's dinner. He has had an absolute feed out of me and out of this whole beach, I think. Enjoy. The fishing that night stayed mainly the same, with a steady string of whiting keeping me company and the foxes full. Not a groundbreaking session, but I was truly happy to be back amongst the fish. With all this time off fishing and not being able to do really much at all, I've been reflecting on how lucky us fisher people are in finding a passion that takes us to incredible places, gets us breathing that salty sea air, and has us obsessing over a whole heap of new skills and knowledge in the hope of landing that target species, whatever it might be. I've got a few weeks to go until being back to fully fit, but I'm beyond excited for some new PBs and species that this year will hold. Whilst making this video, I've come to the realisation that lessons learnt when fishing can often be applied when dealing with difficult life events in general. For instance, patience is key. You'll often find the best happiness with just a mindset change. And above all, trust the process. Get in.